have never done this before on YouTube. So we will see what happens. So I'm Dr. Sara, family physician, wife, mom of 5, and exercise enthusiast. If you've never been here, welcome to my channel. I was about to do sort of like a little movement for myself, mostly a stretch, maybe a little bit of a warm up. And I thought, why don't I try going live and see how this works? And then also maybe if anybody is popping on, you can get moving with me, whether you're at home or at work. Most of what I do is all about keeping it simple, keeping it doable. Many times it's very doable in your pajamas, all of that. So especially if you're a mom that's looking for doable, simple, judgment-free workouts, maybe you are postpartum, whether you are a few weeks to even years out and you're struggling to figure out how to get back to exercise. I was you after my first baby. I now have 5, and I have spent a lot of postpartums, a lot of years figuring out how to get back to exercise in a way that works really well. To just get that reconnection with your body, to feel strong, to feel confident, and to be able to move in a way that feels good for you and your body, both mentally and physically, and then build a foundation that you can add onto and layer onto as you get stronger and feel really good with that. Okay, I just want to make sure that I know how, hopefully this is all gonna work okay. I'm doing this vertically. Hopefully that's going to be all right. You guys can see it's a work in progress. We're learning. Hopefully the audio is okay. I'm just going to start with a gentle warm up of marching in place. And I also will do some nice deep breaths with this. So a 360-degree breathing. So big breath in. I expand my ribs in all directions. So forwards, sideways, and back. And then I think about my pelvic floor relaxing. And then on the exhale, it's audible like hundreds of birthday candles. The ribs contract back down. And on that exhale is when I think about bringing my pelvic floor sort of up and in. And if that feels like a lot of things happening all at once, it is. That's absolutely okay. It's normal. I remember when I first learned about 360 breathing, I was overwhelmed, wasn't sure I was doing it right, had no idea, what was going on. And I thought, well, I'm going to just keep trying. And that's what worked for me, was just practicing it, repetitions over and over again. I'm not sure in this format if I can link videos below after I end the stream. I will link my 360-degree breathing videos below. So now you should be feeling warm. Like I said, I'm just doing a march in place. So you can have your hands on your hips. To intensify it, you can bring your arms up, which doesn't seem like much when you're watching someone else do it. But then when you do it, it's like, whew, okay. Like, I don't know about you guys, I'm getting a little sweaty. However, our current AC for this level of our house is broken. And a very kind, wonderful man came this morning to look at it, and he figured out what's wrong, which is great news. Unfortunately, the part is not coming for 5 to 7 days. So it's a little toasty where I live, so I'm getting sweatier earlier than usual, but doing this gets me sweaty anyway. And you can keep doing that 360 breathing. Another variation here is you can add in your arms. And this is like a super simple full body movement you could do at work. Again, like in your pajamas. It's easy to do this for a minute to get moving. Awesome. Now, I don't know. I'm going to pause. You guys can keep going. I don't know. Okay. Hi. I'm trying to figure out how I see people commenting hi. So hi. It's a little tricky with what I'm doing just because I obviously can't be right next to the phone. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is just some arm warm-ups, and then we'll do, today I was just, like I said in the beginning, these are just arm circles. In the beginning, what I was talking about was I just wanted to kind of do like a little stretch Sometimes I do this in the middle of the day. It's a nice reset. Right now I'm at home, but this is something you could, again, also do at work. Like, no matter what you're doing, you can take a few minutes to just reset with some sort of movement, and that's amazing. Okay, awesome. One more kind of warm-up move, and then I was gonna do some stretching. So this one, I'm gonna plant my left foot down. I have my right arm up to the ceiling, and then I'm bringing my knee to my elbow. And this is the exhale. So it's inhale up, exhale down. And again, on that exhale, you're really thinking about your ribs contracting back down. Your abs are tightening across your belly like a corset muscle, and your pelvic floor is coming up and in. So especially if you're a mom, if you're postpartum, if you've ever been pregnant, or if you are pregnant, this move is safe for all of the above. Assuming postpartum, you've talked to your doctor about what's appropriate, which is very, very important. But this is a wonderful move because it builds your deep core. And what I mean by that is okay, we're gonna switch sides. Before I get into the deep core, so again, inhale up, exhale together. This is also a move that involves a lot of balance. I've been doing this for a long time. And so if you are someone where maybe you're new to this kind of move, or you're new to movement in general, you can have something next to you. So like, as an example, you can use the wall, you know what I'm saying? And do it like that. That's okay. Make a modification that you need to and keep getting stronger. Keep working on things. So your deep core is basically the innermost layer of your abs. So when you think about people talking about six-pack abs, that's the outermost layer that you see. This move works on your deep core, which is underneath everything else. And especially after pregnancy and postpartum, is sort of the most foundational to work on healing. And a lot of people sort of aren't told that, don't understand what to do after you have a baby. And that was part of why I created this channel and started making all these videos, is because after my first baby, even as a physician, even as somebody that delivered babies as part of my training, even as an athlete, like, I felt like when I delivered, somebody clicked a reset button on a stopwatch. I had no idea how to heal, what to do. And then over, the second, third, fourth, and fifth babies that I've had, I've learned a ton, I've experimented a ton. And I thought, like, this is information that I want to share with others so they can learn. I'm just going to come over and see. Okay. All right, we're going to get down and do a stretch here. So I'm going to start with doing a child's pose. So I'm going to go with my toes together, knees apart, and just put my forehead onto the mat here. And you can take some nice deep breaths. And this is one that's great when you're pregnant, because you can, fit your belly in there. And sometimes with this, I will also just take my arms and move to one side of the mat. So now I'm getting a stretch down the left side of my body. And a lot of times people will ask me, how long should I hold my stretches for? So that really depends. For me, if it's something you're doing sort of just as a standalone stretch, or it's like intended to be a cool down from a workout, I typically will hold it for no less than 30 seconds. And then depending on the body part, sometimes longer. So like, for example, my hips are often really tight, so I will hold them longer. If it's more of a warm-up type of stretching, then it's often I'll do it more dynamic where you're kind of moving through it. But again, it's all about doing what works for you and your body. And I switch sides, so now I'm getting that stretch down the right side. Okay, now I'm going to take my left arm between my right hand and my right knee and just let my outside of my left arm go down on the mat. So this is getting sort of a twist in your upper back, a rotation there, while you're still getting the low back and the hips and the hamstrings with the child's pose. And if this ever feels like too much for you, if you can always get out of a stretch and do some 360 breathing, and then you can get back into it, whatever's working for you today. And of course, this is all stuff that you can break up and sprinkle throughout your day if you want to, do a child's pose here and there. It doesn't all have to be done all at once. Okay, now I'm going to switch to the other side. So now I have my right arm between my left hand and left knee. Awesome. And again, you should be feeling this with the sort of the middle of your back rotation. Rotation is a type of movement that I think is often sort of under, I don't want to say neglected, but I think a lot of people, like, you don't really think about doing it. But I have found over the years that rotation is actually really important for sort of like day-to-day movements, even thinking about things like when you're driving, turning to look over your shoulder either way, that rotation that you get with stretching can be really helpful. Okay, I'm gonna get into some hip stretching here. So I'm in a 90-90 position, and then I'm thinking about my hips kind of tilting under. So I'm tucking my bum, and I'm bringing my chin to my chest and thinking about sort of rocking my hips forward about an inch or so. And then if that's enough, great. If any of that made it too intense, you can always back it off. And you can also intensify it more by taking your left arm up to the ceiling. And you can even do a side bend, which will get a little bit more of that side body. And again, you can do any of those, modifications, additions, or you can do none of them. And if you're somebody that has knee issues, you can always put like a pillow or a folded up towel or a t-shirt underneath the knee that's down. Now we're gonna go backwards. So I'm sitting down on my left heel and I have my right leg out in front of me. And this may be enough for you if you put your hands sort of down. This is a pretty intense hamstring stretch. So your hamstring is behind your right upper leg. That's the one we're stretching. If you need a little more, you can always reach for your toe. And I will say, when I first started doing this stretch, like, it's okay if you're up here and that's a stretch. That's awesome. That's where you are today. Over time, as you practice and your body lengthens and you are able to stretch effectively over time with practice, your muscles will lengthen and you may notice that you're getting further and further down. Awesome. And then we're gonna do those two stretches on the other side. And you can see, like I said, I just kind of randomly decided to try this live thing. This is the first time I've ever gone live on YouTube. I don't necessarily hold stretches, like I don't have a stopwatch. I try to do about the same amount of time when I'm doing things that are sided, but it doesn't have to be perfect. So now I switch sides. So I have my left leg in the 90-90 position, my right knee is down. So I'm going to think about tilting those hips under, tucking my bum, rocking everything forward, maybe an inch or so. Then you can layer in, if you want to, chin down to your chest, right arm up to the ceiling. And you can add in that side bend if you want. And if you're ever either watching one of my videos or maybe doing a live with me, whatever it is, and you're like, ooh, that stretch, like I really want to hold that one longer, absolutely. You do what works for you. It's okay to make adjustments and modify because it's about what works for you and your body. And I had, in all these years of babies and medical school and all that stuff, I had heard many people say, like, listen to your body, do what your body tells you. And I always thought, like, what? I don't understand. But really, it's about practice. It's about being mindful when you're doing these things and really thinking about, like, how does this feel? What is maybe feeling tight? What is discomfort? What is pain? And that's a really important distinction. Okay, so I'm going to come out of that. Now I'm going to sit down on my right heel, and I have my left leg extended out. And again, you can have your hands on either side. You can reach for your toe with the right hand. So understanding for your body the distinction between discomfort and pain is really important. If you're ever confused, err on the side of stopping what you're doing. If you ever have pain, you want to stop. But if you're trying to figure out, like, oh, is this uncomfortable and I should just sort of stay here versus is this pain, I would err on the side of stopping. However, the more you move your body, no matter what activity you're doing, whether it's stretching, whether it's strength training, whether it's, running, swimming, biking, whatever, walking, as you get more reconnected with your body, you will start to understand for you what the difference is between discomfort and pain. So for that, it's really all about the practice. Okay, awesome. And now I'm going to get into kind of a glute stretch. We'll probably do maybe like 2 more. So this one, actually we're going to go into a downward dog. So I have my hands planted into the mat, and then I'm going to just push my hips up to the ceiling and try to let my heels drop towards the mat. They don't necessarily need to be touching, but it's just about lengthening basically the whole posterior part or the back part of your body. And think about like there's a string attached to your low back that's pulling you up so that your body is almost like an upside down V. And then we'll kind of do both sides of this next stretch, and then that'll be it for today. Okay, so I'm going to take my left leg up. And so if you were watching, you can see I went into my left knee is sort of behind my left wrist. And then my left foot is between my right hand and my right knee. And you can adjust the position of that front leg however feels good for you in the stretch. A lot of times people will say it needs to be at 90 degrees or like parallel to the mat. That may be good for you. You may not be as flexible as that. It's okay to do what works for you. The idea is you want to make sure your hips are staying parallel to the floor and that you're not caving in. So I'm just showing caving in one side or the other. You want to just kind of stay with them parallel to the floor. And then if that's doing okay and you want to try intensifying it, you can go down to your elbows. You can also, extend your arms out and put your head on the mat. I'm going to stay here just for audio purposes because I've not done a live. I'm not sure how it will sound if my head is totally down. But you can kind of play with and adjust this. And this can be really intense. Stretching your hips sometimes can bring up all kinds of things like emotions. It can feel dramatic almost at times. I think because in general, people's hips are very tight because when you sit, whether you're driving or at work or, sitting on the floor with your kids, your hips tend to sort of stay in that position and they get tight. So then when you try to stretch your glutes out or, the front of your hip like we did in the beginning, it can feel pretty dramatic and sometimes pretty uncomfortable. Again, pain versus discomfort is important for you to practice understanding for your body. Okay, so now I pressed up onto my palms. I'm gonna slide that left leg out, go back into a downward dog, and then I'm gonna take my right leg forward this time. So same idea, just the other side. So my right foot is between my left hand and my left knee, and then I'm just gonna take it down to my elbows. And sometimes when I'm doing stretching, I will think about or do some meditation as part of that. Sometimes I do meditation as its own thing, but sometimes I do meditation while I'm stretching, especially if I'm not doing like a guided stretch, if I'm just kind of doing my own thing right now. And I'll think of a mantra for that specific day that maybe is helpful for me. One that I love to use is I am exactly where I want to be, and the perfect plan is unfolding now. And a lot of times I'll tie that intentionally with the breath. So on the inhale, I am exactly where I want to be. And on the exhale, the perfect plan is unfolding now. We'll do 2 more. I am exactly where I want to be, and the perfect plan is unfolding now. I am exactly where I want to be, and the perfect plan is unfolding now. So now I'm going to press out of this and bring my right foot back. Awesome. And then I usually will end most of my workouts, whatever they are, with, maybe I'll stand up, with 360 breathing. So again, this is where you can have your hands on your ribs and you do that nice big inhale in. And on that inhale, your ribs are expanding into your hands. So they're expanding forwards, sideways, and backwards. As you're expanding, your pelvic floor relaxes and you think about things relaxing. And then on the exhale, it's like you're blowing out hundreds of birthday candles. Your ribs kind of come back down and knit together. You're thinking about like you have a corset muscle that's wrapped around your belly that's tightening. You feel like your hips are almost magnetizing together because of that muscle contraction. And then your pelvic floor is up and in on that exhale. So another big inhale and exhale. And if you feel you want to, you can close your eyes. You can do that mantra again. So inhale, I am exactly where I want to be. And the perfect plan is unfolding now. Inhale, I am exactly where I want to be. And the perfect plan is unfolding now. Awesome. So I hope if you were here, you enjoyed watching. Definitely subscribe and ring the bell. If you are a mom that's looking for ways to get moving that are simple, doable, effective, judgment-free, and you're trying to reconnect with your body, regain strength, energy, vibrancy, and just feel like yourself again, you definitely want to subscribe. Don't miss my videos. I have lots of workouts, lots of shorts if you head over to that part of the channel. If you were here live, thank you so much for being here and watching. Because, imagine if in just a couple minutes a day, you could have those things where you feel stronger, you feel more reconnected to your body, you feel ready to take on the day and wear all the different hats that you need to, including taking care of yourself, because that's what movement can do, even in just a few minutes a day. Awesome. Thanks for being here. Bye, everyone. Subscribe.